Okay, let's try something. Picture this. It's 10 years from now, and you're force well-fi. Well, you're exactly where you always hoped you'd be. That big dream you've got. It's actually happened. Maybe it's running your own successful business, or maybe just that feeling, that deep breath of financial security.
Yeah, that peace of mind.
Exactly. So the big question for our deep dive today is that future just like a fantasy? Or is it something you're genuinely building right now?
That's a really potent question because, while a bit of luck never hurts, the source material we looked at strongly suggests there are real identifiable signs that someone's heading towards wealth.
Right, not lottery tickets or anything like that.
No, we're talking about fundamental habits, ways of thinking, ways of acting, things that show up consistently.
Totally. And our dive today uncovered 10 of these signs.
Yeah.
Really compelling ones. Habits, traits. It's almost like looking at financial DNA, isn't it?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And these tend to appear in people who, go on to build real wealth. So our mission today is to explore these 10 signs, specifically for you, our listener.
And not just what they are, but how they work. And maybe most importantly, how you can actually cultivate them, strengthen them in your own life.
Okay, let's jump right in. Sign number 1, long-term thinking.
This is a big one. It's about a fundamental shift in perspective, really. Are you focused mostly on the quick win, the immediate payoff?
Or are you playing the long game?
Exactly. Are you thinking years ahead, 10, 20, even 30 years down the line?
It's that classic battle, isn't it? Instant gratification versus building something that lasts. The sources really hammer this home.
They do.
Are your choices about what feels good now or what's going to yield something significant, way down the road?
But consistently saving, even if it feels small now.
Right. Or putting in the time to learn a really complex skill, something that won't pay off tomorrow, maybe not even next year.
Or sticking with that side hustle, even when it's tough. It's that persistence fueled by a future vision. Those willing to wait, to put in the work now. They're the ones who tend to see that big success later.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it flows nicely into the second sign, which is a genuine love of learning.
Ah, yes. And the sources stress this isn't just like mild curiosity, it's deeper. It's almost an obsession with personal growth.
Okay, so how does that look in practice?
Well, think about active learning versus passive consumption. Are you choosing to listen to things like this? Read books that challenge you, seek out new ideas.
Instead of just scrolling endlessly.
Exactly. Instead of just passively consuming random videos or social media feeds, it's about actively feeding your brain.
The sources mentioned some pretty famous examples, didn't they? Warren Buffett reading for hours a day.
Yeah, like 5+ hours reportedly.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates with his Think Weeks, just dedicated time for learning.
Wow. It makes you think, what's driving that?
Well, the core idea seems to be that knowledge itself is a massive asset, especially today. And just like money, knowledge compounds.
Ah, okay. So the more you learn,
the better equipped you are to spot opportunities, to solve tricky problems, to adapt when things change. That continuous learning becomes this powerful engine, driving success, including financial success. Your brain becomes your most valuable asset.
Okay, that's powerful. Sign number 3 is taking responsibility. The sources really hit hard on this idea of ownership, especially when things go wrong.
Yeah, this is a huge mindset shift. It's the difference between pointing fingers outwards, blaming the economy, your boss, bad luck.
We all know people like that.
Right, versus looking inward and asking, okay, what was my part in this and what can I do differently next time?
That shift from blame to action. Okay, this happened, now what? What's my move?
Exactly. That puts you back in the driver's seat. It's incredibly empowering, actually.
How so?
Because it means you recognize you have agency. You have the power to influence your outcomes, to shape your future. You're not just, drifting along. You're actively steering the ship.
I like that. Okay, number 4. This one might feel a bit uncomfortable. It's about being comfortable with discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sources suggest that willingly stepping outside your comfort zone is a really significant predictor.
Because growth is uncomfortable, right?
Almost always.
Yeah.
Think about it. Learning something new feels awkward at first. Putting your ideas out there feels vulnerable. Facing rejection.
Yeah.
It stings. But that's where the growth happens.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Starting a business is uncomfortable. Investing your savings, especially at first. Public speaking. Pitching an idea. Asking for a raise.
Yeah, okay, those definitely push buttons for a lot of people.
But there are also pathways to huge growth. The fascinating thing is, when you deliberately lean into that discomfort, you actually expand your capacity. You build resilience. Your comfort zone literally gets bigger.
And you stumble upon opportunities others miss because they stayed where it felt safe.
Precisely.
All right, sign 5 gets practical. Wise money management. And the source material makes a key point here. It's not just about how much you earn.
Oh, absolutely. This is often unpopular, but true. How you handle your money can matter more, much more, than the size of your paycheck.
So what are the positive indicators here?
The sources point to those fundamental habits. Budgeting, actually knowing where your money goes, consistent saving, strategic investing, not just letting it sit there, avoiding unnecessary debt like the plague.
And that classic advice, living below your means.
Yes. It might not sound glamorous, but it's foundational. Money is a tool, right? And if you learn to use that tool skillfully, even small amounts can grow into something significant over time.
The sources had an example, didn't they? Someone earning less but managing well.
Yeah, that person can absolutely end up wealthier than a high earner who just spends everything. That disciplined approach, it's a huge sign.
Okay, sign 6, having multiple income streams.
The sources flag this as a strong indicator, relying solely on one paycheck. Well, can be limiting.
So we're talking side hustles, freelancing, investments.
Exactly, things like that. Side businesses, maybe selling stuff online, passive income from investments, rental properties, whatever it might be. Wealthy people often don't put all their eggs in one basket. They diversify.
That makes sense for security, too.
Definitely. But it's also about mindset.
Yeah.
Even a small side income, according to the sources, shows you're thinking like a builder, not just an earner.
A builder versus an earner. I like that distinction. It suggests potential that isn't kept by a salary.
Precisely. It's about actively creating value in different ways, leveraging your skills and time beyond the 9 to 5.
All right, number 7. This one feels really important, maybe a bit psychologically tricky. How you handle failure.
Ah, yes. Failure is feedback.
The sources almost normalize it, don't they? Like, have you ever failed? Good.
Exactly. Because failure is pretty much unavoidable if you're trying to do anything significant. The real question is, what do you do with it? Do you let it stop you?
Or do you learn from it? I liked how the source put it. Didn't work out, but you learned something valuable. Even better.
That reframing is crucial. It turns a negative into data. Many successful people, millionaires included, have strings of failures behind them.
So the difference is?
The difference is they treat it like feedback. They analyze it. Okay, why didn't that work? They extract the lessons, adjust their approach, and crucially, they keep going. That resilience is key.
Resilience and learning.
Yeah.
Okay, sign number 8 is about who you hang out with, surrounding yourself with winners.
Yeah, the influence of your social circle, it's more powerful than many people realize.
How so?
Well, the sources contrast environments, right? Think about being around people who constantly complain, gossip, focus on limitations, versus being around people who discuss ideas, goals, growth, possibilities.
But energy is contagious, isn't it? Both ways.
Totally. The source basically says you become like the people you're around. It's a pretty direct statement.
It really makes you pause and think about who you're spending your time with, the conversations you're having.
It's about being intentional, consciously upgrading your circle, seeking out people who inspire you, who challenge you in a good way, and maybe limiting exposure to constant negativity. That's a powerful step.
Okay, sign 9 focuses on problem solving. The source asks, do you see problems as roadblocks or something else?
Or opportunities. That's the key shift. Wealthy individuals and successful businesses often get there by solving problems. They identify a pain point, figure out a solution, and offer value.
Right. Like the examples in the source. Uber saw a problem with finding rides.
Airbnb saw a problem with finding affordable, interesting places to stay.
They created solutions that people were willing to pay for.
Exactly. So the mindset is, where's the friction? Where's the inefficiency? Where's the unmet need? And how can I help solve that?
So it encourages you to look at your own frustrations or skills and think, could this solve a problem for someone else?
Yes. That problem-solving ability is inherently valuable. Turning challenges into opportunities to innovate and create value, that's often how wealth is generated.
Okay, brings us to the final sign, number 10. And this one's purely mental, it seems. Belief. A deep belief you can actually become rich.
Deep and genuine belief. The sources emphasize this isn't just wishful thinking, it's a core conviction.
And why is that so important?
Because that belief fundamentally shapes everything else. Your thoughts, your decisions, your actions. If you truly believe it's possible for you, you're far more likely to put in the consistent effort.
You're more likely to take calculated risks.
To push through the inevitable setbacks. To stay focused over the long haul. That internal conviction fuels the external actions.
It's like wealth starts in your head before it shows up in your bank account.
That's a great way to put it. The source material really underlines this. It's the difference between I hope I get wealthy and I will figure out how to become wealthy.
Even if you don't know the exact steps yet.
Especially then, that attitude the source mentioned. I don't know how, but I will figure it out. That determination, that unwavering belief in the face of uncertainty, that's incredibly powerful.
Wow. Okay, so that's the 10. Long-term thinking, love of learning, taking responsibility, comfort with discomfort, wise money management.
Multiple income streams, failure as feedback, surrounding yourself with winners, problem solving, and that core belief.
It's quite a list, but really insightful when you see them laid out like that.
Absolutely. And like we said, and the sources emphasize this too, you don't need to be perfect on all 10 right now.
Yeah, that's reassuring.
Recognizing even a few of these in yourself is a really positive sign. And the best part, none of these are fixed traits.
You can develop them.
Every single one. They can all be cultivated, strengthened through conscious effort, through consistency. You can start working on them today.
So it really boils down to mindset, habits, consistency, maybe more than just luck or circumstance.
That seems to be the core message from the sources, yes.
Yeah.
It's much more about the internal game, your mindset, your discipline, your approach than most people think.
A lot to think about there.
Definitely. It puts the power back in your hands, doesn't it? So, as you reflect on these 10 signs we've dived into, maybe ask yourself, which one or two resonate the most right now? Where could you start focusing your energy to build that future you picture?